Chris, good to see you. First up, just how much good, I suppose, did you see from the boys down at Odsal?
Yeah, there was plenty. I mean, you saw the side that we had to pick. You know, we got wingers playing in the back row, and we got wingers coming off the bench and playing prop. And effort was great. Attitude was great. We probably weren't quite clinical enough in good ball. We had opportunities, but we weren't quite clinical. We didn't quite finish off some of the stuff that we should have, really. But all credit to Bradford. They're a good side, and physically probably we needed to manage them a little bit better early in sets. Ben Blackmore causes everyone a lot of problems. To be fair, he's a really capable ball carrier. But yeah, look, proud of their efforts. Nick Howe missed a couple of kicks at goal, and it should have been 24-12 in all honesty, sort of on the hour mark, and we just mismanaged a little bit of stuff. But yeah, look, I was proud of their efforts considering the side we only had 17 fit men. We didn't even go with an 18th man, so I was very proud of their efforts.
It's a result that obviously leaves us 5 points adrift, pretty much a safety. Few games left. How do you view the situation as it stands?
Tough. It's tough. From a club perspective, we're going through preparations, and we're preparing for a best case and a worst case scenario. And it's at this minute in time, it's angling towards a worst case scenario, but I don't, I can take the positives from all situations, and when the time's right, I'll go through a little bit of my thoughts on that stuff. But again, we won't put the white flag up. We're going to be competitive until the end, and until it's mathematically impossible, and that's what we'll be doing this week.
As a Geordie yourself, and as a Thunder fan as well, putting the fan kind of head on. Yeah. How much does it hurt you, kind of seeing that league table and seeing where Thunder are this season? It does.
Regardless of circumstances, regardless of some of the stuff that has gone against us, and being behind the 8 ball going into the year in terms of our preparation with regard to the off season, and particularly the squad off season and pre-season, which I've spoke about umpteen times, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. But yeah, it does hurt regardless. Because I know if we don't deserve to be there, but I know what the club's capable of, with some subtle and maybe fundamental changes in the right areas. We can be way more competitive, and on that maybe I'm too optimistic, but I'm really excited for the future, and I know and I appreciate from the fans' point of view. It isn't great reading, but again, from looking from the outside in, and I've done that for 20 years just about, I've seen all sorts of changes, but I've seen no consistency. You've seen all sorts of plans spoken about, but I've seen nobody, or not at not one point, really committing to that plan for a sustained period of time. And unless you do that, the same's always going to happen. So we need to, for me, and knowing the kind of stuff that's going on behind the scenes, I know there is a plan, and we've got to fully commit to it. And we'll have open dialogue about that in the next few months, and how that looks. And but from my point of view, I'm excited for the future.
And I suppose that kind of continues and starts every single, at least, home game that we've got coming up. That's next against York. We're nowhere near done yet, but I guess we need to ask, are you sick of the sight of York already this season? We seem to be playing them every third week.
No, look, I'm disappointed that we didn't take more from the games that we played. I've said to you before, Andy, that we, as a fairly young coach, that I still struggle to kind of leave behind the games that we left out there, and we left points out there. In the York, both, I think, it wasn't quite consecutive weeks, was it? But it was Challenge Cup, then League, not maybe 2 weeks later, and we were that close both times. And for me, I've got to learn to kind of leave them behind. So for us, there's a little bit of unfinished business there. There's almost the kind of we owe them a little bit. They're a little bit. They are a bit of a different side. There's a little bit of personnel. Their style's changed a little bit. They're a little bit different in yardage, but from our point of view, the boys should take that personally. I take it personally, And I don't like losing regardless of the circumstances and the situation, but the boys need to take that personally, and there's some prerequisites in our sport, and working harder than the opposition is one of them, and that's what we need to do tomorrow.
Is the message to them quite clear, and that is, whatever happens, finish the season strongly, especially here at Kingston Park?
Absolutely. Everyone's got a reason to play well. Everybody is motivated for different reasons. Whether you're going to be here or not, it's in your best interest to play as well as you can, and that's been the message from me.
And just finally, I hesitate to ask you this one, actually, considering what we turned out against Bradford, but what's the team news like? Have we got anyone back? Is anyone going to be in the correct positions across the back line?
I'll tell you at 7:30 tomorrow night. We've got 4 fitness tests tonight. But if I'm honest, I'm not holding out much hope for any of them. And it's not ideal to do fitness tests the day before. Yeah. That's kind of the nature of the beast right now. We are a bit busted, and it's no real fault. Nobody's real fault. That it's just how the sport is, and the boys know that. And if Cleggy needs to play back row again, he'll put his hand up and he'll make 40 tackles again. And if Evan Lowther has to come off the bench and play prop, he'll do his best to run through that middle. So I've no problem. There's always a reason for why and what the reasons I do things, and it's nice to see Evan Lowther in a slightly different position, and he doubted himself before the game, but he was full of it after. He ran over Billy Jowett and skittled him 10 metres, and he had some nice touches. Cleggy did what Cleggy does. He just puts his hand up and he puts the team first. So if we have to go with that again, we go with that again.